Welcome, everyone, to the Libraries Open podcast. Well, once again, we have a fan favorite, Marshall Reading, back on the podcast. Welcome, Marshall.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for asking me to participate.
Thank you. So, usually we have our guests do an introduction about themselves, but since Marshall was a guest just a few months ago, go back and listen to our April episode. You can hear more about Marshall's life story and background in the library world. But today we really want to focus on the American Library Association conference that was held in June in San Diego. It was a great event this year. And so we had such a great time talking about the PLA conference a few months ago. I thought, what better way to kind of wrap up some of the trends and hot topics that were going on there with the talk with Marshall again. So we're just going to get right into it. And Marshall, I do want to know, what did you think of San Diego? Had you been there before? Did you have any time to do anything fun outside of the conference?
Well, so San Diego is a great venue for the conference. I had been there several times before. The weather was great. Lots of good restaurants and that kind of thing. Interesting that ALA Annual always happens with my wife's birthday, so we had a chance to go out and have a nice, birthday dinner during the conference and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a good conference. Really enjoy going to it, and it was well attended. It seemed like I think how many people come has a lot to do with the venue and that kind of thing. And I think San Diego is a pretty good draw. So yeah, it was definitely a good conference.
Fabulous. Yeah, I really enjoyed myself. I'd never been there before, and the weather was fantastic. Being from Florida, I really appreciated the break from the humidity. So that's awesome. You had a great time. So obviously, one of the main things that I want to talk about today is the Executive Perspectives panel that you hosted. But before we delve into that, I just want to know, did you have time to attend any other sessions that were going on? Did you have any favorite panels or sessions that really stuck out to you?
Well, yeah, sure. I don't get to go to a lot of sessions during the conference. I have to spend a lot of time in the exhibit hall and the things that I'm at. But the opening session with Trevor Noah, got to go to that, and it was really good. He's an amazing storyteller, and this children's book that he's written. It was he gave a nice story about that, and so I really kind of think that resonated with the audience. There was an overflowing crowd, so yeah. Um, Other things I went to, the core library technology trends. Uh, I'm on that panel occasionally, and I was this year, and it was also kind of well attended and interesting, covered a variety of different kind of practical technology topics. AI obviously was a topic for that one as well. So yeah, I mean, it was great to be able to participate in that. And it's different than the panel that I do, but I think having the two, uh, having participated in both of those, just shows a wider range of things that people are thinking about in the technology realm. So yeah, that was good. And as I said, I spent a lot of time in the exhibits. That's kind of one of the reasons that I'm there, is that I need to be able to kind of be well informed about the whole range of products and services that are available to libraries. For American Libraries, I was writing, and I was there to kind of do an article, kind of conference write up about the exhibit hall. And there I'm asked not to just look at the technology products, but kind of the wide range of things, tech and non-tech. So that kind of makes me kind of pay attention to the whole kind of range of things that libraries spend their precious funds on. So yeah, I find it very interesting and enlightening to kind of pay attention to all of that.
I don't know, did you have a chance to go to any of the poster sessions or anything that was going on in the exhibit hall relating to that? And did you have a favorite?
I walked through the poster sessions. This year they were outside of the exhibit hall. They were in kind of a dedicated area that was apart from the exhibits. And I kind of, they were interesting. Didn't have time to kind of look at them in detail, but again, a very wide range of topics, from kind of very practical things to very narrow scholarly studies and that kind of thing. So it was all good.
Well, that's fun. I know one day I had 30,000 steps on my Apple Watch from walking around the conference hall to and from the hotel. So yeah, it was a big one this year. I mean, that's a huge convention center.
I don't think I hit 30,000. I was in the 20s.
That that's good though. That's that's fabulous. So some people may know, some people may not, that for how many years have you done the Executive Perspectives panel now?
Oh, that's a good, at least 10. It's been a while.
Oh, I didn't know it's been that long since you've done that.
Well, didn't do it for the 2 years they didn't have the conference, but before and after. So I've been doing it a while.
Okay, so can you yeah, explain what that is for people that don't know? What is your Executives Perspectives panel?
So what I wanted to do is to be able to kind of host and lead a conversation at the conference having to do with technology topics that um, is mostly around the vendor perspective, executive perspectives. Executive are those who are in leadership roles of the various companies. Um, for a long time, there had been a vendor session at ALA Midwinter Conference, and it was a different style. There were, maybe a dozen vendors, and it was kind of a freewheeling thing that was kind of really hard to get a lot out of from my perspective. So I thought that, yeah, I would like to be able to do something a bit more focused, uh, both in terms of who's on it and the topics. So every time I do it, there is a specific broad topic that is the focus of the discussion. So in order to be able to do that, you have to work through one of the ALA divisions. Core is the obvious one. It used to be LEDA, and so this conference was the LEDA Executive Perspective panel. Um, and so you have to do usual things to kind of propose the panel and all of that, and they always accept it. Uh, but it's just something that I've kind of thought would be interesting to add to the mix of things that those who are interested in technology will be able to get out of it at the annual conference. So and I'm kind of privileged to be able to do that every year and invite interesting people and have conversations about a topic, and they've always been pretty well attended. So that has been something that I find is a mark of success for those sessions.
Yeah, when I attended the one in 2020, actually the past 2 years, I think, and they've all been extremely well attended.
Mhm.
So that is a huge testament to the success. And I kind of want to ask, so in planning this year's panel, what was your thinking behind the topic and the panelists that you selected?
Well, so the topic was out there, right? And I think even I said it in my introductory remarks for the panel is that either I mean AI is what everybody's talking about, and is everybody tired of talking about it, and so we should do something else, or should we talk about it? So I decided, yeah, this is something that I think folks have a lot of interest still, a lot of unanswered questions, and would appreciate hearing more perspectives about. Um, so I ran with the topic. And as far as the folks that participate, I always try to cover a range of organizations and try to find the right person within those organizations to address the topic. For a lot of the sessions, it's been kind of top level strategic things and usually kind of get the CEO of the company uh, to be on the panel. But this was more a kind of, hands-on kind of technology that wanted folks that have, some, hands-on and kind of practical experience with it. Um, so what I like about the industry in general is that it's a diverse range of organizations, for-profit, nonprofit, big, little, proprietary software, open source software. So I try to pick out of that range ones that I think will be interesting and available, right? Not everybody that I first think of is going to be at the conference or able to come to this session. So on one end, we had, Tom Jacobs from Clarivate, a very big company that has made deep investments as the broader company, not just the library part of it, in various flavors of artificial intelligence and are already beginning to do prototypes of products that include that. So, that I think was interesting. Um, and then Cersei Dynix, Melissa Colmer, more of a hands-on kind of person. She uh, is kind of involved with how the company uses different kinds of technology. And, she was saying that, we're not really putting our products yet, but we're beginning to get experience in by using it ourselves. So I thought that was a perspective. And then Mohammed Madej from Bibliocommons, who actually hadn't met before the session, the perspective I was interested there is that, they only make patron facing products. They don't do an ILS. So, to hear their thoughts about whether library patrons are ready for kind of an AI enhanced experience, I was interested to hear to hear about that. And then Nate Curulla, of course, from Bywater, again another perspective, open source service provider, uh, with both Koa and Aspen and other products, it kind of, a more wait and see kind of approach that, not every library is clamoring for as much AI as you can deliver as soon as you can. So I think it's interesting to have ended up with, 4 panelists that kind of gave their reflections and perspectives from the experience of those diverse organizations.
Yeah, and it seems like this was a very, very hot topic because I was really struck at how many people from the audience were getting up to ask questions. A lot of times there's some, I think, timidness with that at these events, and I was really amazed at how many people were wanting to participate. And so with that, I mean, was there any question from the audience that really stuck out to you, or you think really spurred interesting conversation?
Well, there were a number of questions, and some were saying, please be careful about this. We don't, we it's really important that we begin using AI in thoughtful ways and don't go replacing library workers with something that's untested and will probably result in a poor experience for patrons, all the way from, wanting kind of more edgy kinds of things uh, that would come out of AI. So just like the panel reflected diverse perspectives, I think the audience was on the same page that, some were enthusiasts and some were skeptics. I think I asked that very question, had everybody raised their hands, and it was even, and most people raise their hand for both sides of that, because you can both be a skeptic and be kind of interested and exciting about a technology. So you were there. What did you think was the most interesting question?
So I personally think when somebody asked about the integration and technology playing well with each other and vendors playing well with each other, of course that stuck out to me working for a vendor.
Hmm.
I really wanted to hear what people think about that. And as a Bywaterine, I have to speak highly of our company, but I think that our products do really work well with each other.
Hmm.
And, being on the open source side, we really want to encourage, the openness and transparency. And so I thought that was really interesting when somebody brought that up. That stuck out to me the most. And I think Nate spoke really well to that question.
And open and transparent mean, that's different and more and harder to accomplish, I think, in the world of AI, because there isn't a lot of transparency in how a lot of these large language models are built and trained. So, kind of from the get-go, there are questions. And then as libraries begin incorporating these technologies, are they able to offer more transparency about how they use them, and how uh, in a library context such technologies might uh, deliver according to library expectations, the having, errors and bias in the results from a library service isn't going to be well accepted. So I think that the guardrails and so forth have to be much stronger for the use of these technologies in the library context than we've seen in the business and consumer arena so far.
Did you get any audience feedback after the panel discussion? And do you think that the talk was able to dispel any myths or concerns that people had about AI?
Well, the feedback was kind of more general. I think really they liked the session and that kind of thing. They didn't give kind of a lot of critical feedback, positive or negative. But also, I think that the library crowd is pretty well informed. I think they're less susceptible to the myths. Uh, so I think that, and I hope that, their eyes are kind of more wide open, when they uh, think about new technologies such as generative AI and that kind of thing. Though naturally they come with kind of their point of view and perspectives, and what they're concerned about from their particular role in the library, and what how their organization is approaching these kinds of things. It means something way different to, you know, uh, a library worker that's coming from a school library or a small public library than a large university, where in kind of the latter, the larger universities, they're already stuck in the thick of it. Their students are using these technologies, and the institutions themselves are struggling with to what extent that's okay, and how do you control or encourage the use of AI in ways that are that play a positive role in the education of students. So libraries have to be there, they have to understand all of those different things, and the reality that, the students and faculty may actually be ahead of them when it comes to exposure to these technologies. So again, it's just very wide ranging, what the implications are and the perspectives are. And I think that kind of informed the different kinds of questions that we heard.
Absolutely. And I have to ask, is there an AI technology that you use frequently?
Not that much. I'm more of an experimenter than a user. I think it's important for me to try the various tools and kind of understand how they work and what they can do and not do. But I don't use it to do any of my work at this point. Even kind of administrative kind of stuff. I probably should, because I can't. There's too many scheduling things and all of that I have to keep up with. That maybe I could use some other tools to do that. But I think it's important, I keep educating myself as far as the what exists out there, what the different uh models are, large language models, different architectures. So, if I speak and write about these technologies, I want to understand them pretty well, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I use them in my day-to-day work.
Yeah, for me, I've mostly just been using it for fun experimental things. One really cool thing on ChatGPT that I learned is you can put in a food budget and what kind of food you want, and it will create a whole meal plan for you for the week. I mean, and do it in like 2 seconds. It's pretty incredible, some of the
Yeah.
technology and how
Yeah.
useful it can be.
Yeah. But then can it make the dinner?
Yeah,
That's
exactly. Yeah, yeah. What's that? I saw a meme. It was like, I wish AI would, clean my floors instead of do the art, like the art and creative stuff. It's like, why can't it do the practical stuff? That would be,
right. Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah. It's a good
yeah,
good
yeah,
comment. Yeah.
exactly. And something, just while we're still on the topic of AI, and this did come up during the panel, and we will be sending out a formal announcement soon, but Bywater is hosting an AI Innovations in Libraries virtual conference, September 16th to 17th. So we encourage everybody to participate in that. We've already got some great speakers lined up. Maybe you will be there, Marshall. We hope to see you in some capacity. But yeah, I just want to throw that out there. I will share a link in the podcast description. But it's going to be 2 days virtual, completely free, and we're going to be talking about all aspects of AI in the library world. So
Yeah, I think they'll be well received. I think a lot of folks still have questions and want to get any kind of new information they can. So yeah, I think it'll be a good session.
awesome. Well, we hope to see you there in some capacity.
Mhm.
And I guess I just want to ask, I mean, was there anything else from the conference that really stuck out to you or that was a big takeaway this year?
Well, the one thing that caught my interest was that, there's ebooks are very controversial as far as uh, the controlled digital lending and what the Internet Archive is doing. And during the conference, not at the conference, it was happening someplace else, where the oral arguments for the appeal between Internet Archive and Hachette. So people were talking about that. There was a lot of buzz about, how that was going, because how that tips has a lot to do with how libraries get access to that style of digital content. So seeing kind of the traditional legal sanctioned approach, you see Overdrive, that's what they do. They work with publishers, and uh, they distribute their content according to the way the publishers like, but then libraries are also wanting to do more with controlled digital lending. So it was interesting to hear that talked about a lot during the conference. And I think it had to do with the timing of when that kind of lawsuit continues to play out. Be interesting to see how it ends up. I know there's not been an announcement about that yet.
It will be. I feel like that's always a never ending kind of a saga with the
It's
ebook.
not going to be solved in the short term.
No, absolutely not. Well, are you already planning next year's panel? Is there any preview of what we can get, or is it way too early in the game?
Way too early. I have to meet deadlines as far as kind of proposing the panel. And then, it takes a few weeks to kind of round up who's going to be on it, figure out what the topic's going to be. So yeah, I've not even started to do that yet.
Yeah, I understand. It's always funny when conferences ask for calls for proposals like a year ahead of time, and you're thinking, I don't even know what's going to be relevant in a year from
Mhm.
now.
The world
Well,
changes really fast. So yeah.
yeah, it does. Is there any other upcoming conferences that you'll be attending where folks can find you?
I'll be doing the Computers and Libraries Conference. I always do that, usually in the spring, the online Internet Librarian Conference in the fall. So, that kind of thing, and other things as I get asked.
Fabulous. Well, like I said, hopefully we'll see you at our AI conference. And is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up the podcast today?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered a lot of different things. So it's a good conversation.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Marshall, as always, and we will talk to you next time.
Okay, look forward to it.